Good morning. Welcome to Radio Friends. This is Friday. It's August the 7th, and our singer, our storyteller, our songwriter, Larry Brown is with us. And usually when we have Larry Brown on, it's tied into a holiday. Today, it's not a holiday. It's just
summer.
Yeah, just summertime. All right. So we got a summertime story from Larry Brown. Is this a true story? Is this a made-up story?
You will have to wait and listen.
Okay. So we don't know if this is true or not, but what's the name of it?
Well, I thought about several names I could use. I thought about On the Beach, On the Waterfront, or The Sandpiper, and those are already taken. So
okay.
Then I thought about The Wild Bunch, but no, it was taken too. So I decided to just call it One August Day.
Okay, so here is Larry Brown with One August Day.
Now, it was a hot Friday, August noon, and 5 teenage boys had gathered at a picnic shelter overlook at a recreation area to have their lunch. And they looked down the hill at a little beach area, lakeside. Now, those 5 guys were a part of a work crew that worked at the recreation area, part of a government program that helped finance young people through government funds to work in government agencies. And so they were a part of a work crew there that did all sorts of things at the dam and at the lake and the recreation areas, everything from picking up trash to cutting weeds to doing maintenance on buildings, helping with construction, planting trees, and pest control. Well, that particular noon, as they looked down, it was Friday, and it was only a few hours to quitting time. Now, their pattern had been they would rendezvous and carpool about 10 miles over to the recreation area every midday morning. And they rode together in one car. TC provided the car. It was one of those low-slung, sporty-looking vehicles. It was a little cramped for 5 teenage boys, but the kind of car it was made it fun. And they would drive over then and work the day, and then at the end of the day, they'd pile back in the car and go back to their homes where TC would drop them off. But this particular noon, when they were having their lunch, I don't know if it was maybe jealousy of the people that were down on the beach, because that very beach, just a few days ago, they had hoed all the weeds out of it, they'd raked it, they'd picked up the trash, and watching those people enjoying the beach while they were going to be working in the hot sun that afternoon, maybe it was jealousy. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was just that culture of adolescent boys to have something exciting happen. But they came up with a plan, a sort of a street theater to excite those people on the beach. Well, when quitting time came, they piled in the car, drove over to that recreation area, and dropped off one of them at the shelter overlook. That was Willie. And they waited while he walked casually down to the beach, kind of sauntered out onto the sand, was standing there looking out over the lake. And then they drove that car in a hurry, roared into the parking lot, revving the engine as they came to a stop. And the 4 of them lined up and started to walk across the beach toward Willie, their intended victim. Well, Willie was playing his role just perfectly. He looked around, he panicked, he tried to run, but he fell down. And the 4 guys ran over then and pretended to just beat him to a pulp. And as they walked away then, those folks on the beach did what they expected. Some of them ran back to their campsites and picnic areas, and families were huddling their children together. Well, as those 4 guys went back toward the car, a man came out of one of the campsites carrying an axe headed down to the beach. Well, 3 of those guys got in the car, and they were gone. But one of them turned and looked, and whether it was a sense of guilt or whatever it was, walked back hurriedly toward the beach. And there met the man with the axe. And he said, "Everything's okay. Willie, stand up and show him you're okay." And he began to apologize to the man, saying, "It was all just a game. We were having fun. We were just horsing around. No one was hurt. I'm very, very sorry." Well, the man lowered the axe, but you could tell he was not particularly pleased. He didn't think it was funny. Well, after the situation calmed down, the 2 of them, Willie and his friend, walked back up and met the others. They rendezvoused and went back home. Well, that drive back home, a lot of subdued laughter, but mainly worry, because they assumed that come Monday morning, they'd all be fired when the report got back to their boss in the recreation area. Well, the one young man whose little burst of conscience had propelled him back to talk with the man of the axe went back to his family, and that night tried to explain to his parents what had happened. He had a condensed and edited version of the story, which was something like, well, we were just horsing around on the beach, and there were some campers that were kind of excited. But that wasn't enough to ease his conscience. After supper, I borrowed the family car, and I drove back the 10 miles, found that campsite. It was about sundown and campfires were started, and I found the campsite with the man with the axe, and I went to him and explained who I was, and I apologized, and again, he didn't think it was funny, and mainly I got a lecture on irresponsibility and carelessness and frightening children. Well, we had a quiet and subdued conversation, and I thought there was a hint of forgiveness maybe in his tone. Well, I went back home. That Monday morning, I explained to my friends my attempt to appease the situation, and they were relieved but still worried that we were all going to be fired. Well, we drove by the recreation area, saw that there were no campers or picnickers there on Monday morning. That was good. And to our inward joy, there was no lecture to us. We weren't fired. Now, I don't know whether there was a report made, a little footnote, or something was told to the sheriff. I don't know. Nothing was said. No knock came on my door, no letter from the government, and next year I was hired in the same neighborhood youth program to work at a different agency. Lessons learned? Conscience is good. Taking responsibility is good. But better yet, think before you act.
Good. So that is a true story then.
It is a true story.
That's a very good story, Larry. None of it was embellished. That was all true.
It was true to my best of my memory.
You were a naughty little boy at one time, but you had conscience there. If you want some of Larry's stories, Brown's story at hotmail.com. You can contact Larry that way. If you come out, well, I guess there's not too much right now going.
Not a lot of live action out there.
Right. But you can pick up some of his stories on CD also. If something you'd like to hear or see, drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Thank you very much, Larry.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.